Welcome, council member.
My turn. It is a hot seat. Kind of warm. All right. Well, I'll try to be brief because I know that we're a little bit over time.
Yes.
So I'll give you a couple updates. Dee had prepped this a little bit. One was on the speed trailer from the initial year of participatory budgeting. So we are moving ahead, but the deployment of it's going to be difficult. So the traffic enforcement unit with the police department is just understaffed, as the entire department is, right? So the reality is that we're going to push to get the actual radar unit purchased, and we're going to get it stored. Even that itself was a little bit of a hurdle, but that will be completed. The harder part is the traffic enforcement unit has pushed back pretty hard, and we've been back and forth in regards to deployment. So the actual once we get it, and what we wanted to do was be able to open it up to initially out of here, the CLC, and then through the neighborhoods, to where you can just put in a request, and it can come through our office, and we can reach out to the PD and tell them, hey, we want to see if you can drop off the radar unit on this block, and that's it, and then they'll go and drop it off. What they've said is they can't be there at sort of our, at our beck and call for when we might need this deployed out, that they're not even, they're struggling to just get the ones that they own deployed out. And so in the meantime, because I don't want it to just sit there for, a year or God knows how long until PD is fully staffed up. We're gonna attempt to see, similar to how Paul Pereira's been working. We're gonna see if we can't get a truck where myself and a couple others on the team, and eventually everybody on the team will be certified to drive the city vehicles. To get a truck from Public Works or DOT and drive down to the so it'll be a little harder than it should be. I think we'll get to that point where traffic enforcement unit will be able to manage this. But until then, it'll be a little more difficult, and we'll just kind of have to we'll have to roll with those punches, and that'll mean it's probably going to take a little bit longer. Once we decide here's a place that we want to put the radar trailer, it's going to take a little coordination with my office and traffic enforcement unit for us to one, go and get a truck, two, set up a good time to go and pick up the trailer, and then three, actually get permission on a good space to put it, because that's actually the hardest thing is I can't just go and drop off a radar trailer in the middle of the road. We need somebody that can say, hey, here's more or less where it needs to sit, right, so that we're not now in jeopardy, or we're not liable for anything that happens. So it'll be a little bit more painful, but what I'm actually trying to do purposely is make it a little painful, because if we just said, okay, fine, purchase the trailer and leave it at TEU until you're fully staffed up, I think it would be there for a year or two and we wouldn't get use out of it. So I actually want to make it a little painful and really just sort of not accept no for an answer and just find a way to get it to maybe to the point where they say, we'd rather not deal with Raul doing this, right? Like, let's just find a way to see if we can't get this deployed. So, but that's moving. The other one was the street light enhancement. So we, DOT team has picked out 2 different lighting samples that would fall within the budget, and that will be, either one could be utilized. So we're now going to reach back out to the budget delegates that participated in that item, and to make a decision between one of the 2 lighting samples for the projects for the lighting under the overpasses. And so those are moving. As I had said before, that was sort of the other process that we're in. Although we're in year 2 of PB, we're also in year 2, or the second phase of the first year, which means the actual procurement of the whatever items that we funded, and then the distribution of the items that we funded. So it's all sort of brand new, and we're getting through this part of it as well, and understanding sort of some of the time that may take. Fortunately, it's working. So we have District 5 that's having a fairly successful process this year with PV, and we have an interest from what I'm hearing, an interest from District 6, District 2, and I believe there was another district, or I believe 3 more, yes, District 8, that have expressed interest in engaging in participatory budgeting in this next cycle. which would be half the council. And so the idea would be, you know, again, could we get this to a much more formalized structure, citywide? And I think we're getting there. So again, we're guinea pigging it, right? But I think we're succeeding in that. Last one is the art utility boxes. We did put out a call to the artists. We have the dollars now allocated to be able to pay them. We have utility boxes that more still kind of pinpointing exact locations, but that's been worked out through PG&E, and so we'll be painting actually PG&E ones because, as you know, a lot of actually the city infrastructure ones, that's where we initially did a lot of work. So when we realized that some of the unpainted ones, or most of the unpainted ones now, are a lot of the PG&E boxes, we reached out to them and got them on board, and they're open to having those painted, and so. We're now just waiting for artists to respond back to our call.
Is it PG&E or Comcast?
Comcast.
Comcast. They'll be providing the utility boxes?
Oh, excuse me. You're right, Comcast.
But you found
no,
the artists.
No, we just put out the call to artists. So that just happened in our newsletter. So
Aaron Salazar, did you reach out to him?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
So yeah, we reached out to our arts commissioners, and we, so we're, and these artists will get paid to paint the utility boxes.
What if I wanted to paint? I'm not an artist, but what if I wanted to as a community leader?
Yeah, I don't think we're defining artists. I mean,
Are you looking for
we are
a
going to be
particular?
we're going to be paying people. So the one thing we are going to kind of obviously ask is whatever community, because the idea was going to go in each one of the neighborhoods, right? So whatever neighborhood we're going to work with, we're going to hopefully get a couple representatives from that neighborhood to work with the artists and get an idea. Now, clearly you're not going to be able to say I want a Picasso kind of painting, right? But to get an idea on this is what we'd sort of like to see. And I think if somebody was,
Creative enough.
yeah, and willing, could probably pull that off. So.
That's good news.
Yeah. And then PB for year 2 is moving along. We actually have we're having on average around 20 delegates that are vetting out the projects right now. We had over 200 ideas submitted, which topped last year's, which was just over 150. So it's it's growing even in our regard as well. So that's the quick updates on some of that stuff. I'll leave it for questions now to see if there's anything burning or specific for someone.
Question?
Yes.
Has the council approved the energy grid for the city to manage? Maybe.
No.
I forgot what was the term.
Yeah, it's CCA's. Why am I blanking on it? We just had it in fact.
Community choice aggregation.
Community choice. Thanks, Pete. Too many acronyms in my mind.
Yeah.
So we just had a presentation in a study session on the community choice aggregation, and we do have options presented to us from our environmental services department, and we will be making a decision within the next couple months on whether or not the city of San Jose will have its own community choice aggregation of energy or community choice energy. And if we do decide, then what option we would go to. There's a few options that we could choose. So that has not been decided, but it will be decided before this summer.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Did the St. Patrick's plan get approved?
Yeah, no, not yet. No.
Oh,
Not yet.
wow.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, why?
It just hasn't hit the agenda yet. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, we got a little more weight now.
yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Well, one thing,
Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much.
apparently there's no longer a single phone number that you can call to try to figure out how to report something. The police non-emergency line is not the one you would call for, I felt water leaking, see water leaking out of the middle of Santa Clara Street.
mm-hmm.
And I spent about an hour and a half going from phone number to phone number to phone number, trying to report that, and finally ended up with a sub-call number at DOT, actually. And I'm sitting there saying, there used to be a call center
For the
And-
water department?
for, just a general hotline you could call for the city, and they would sit there and say, okay, this would be referred to these people. And I would be talking to one agency and they say, well, I think DOT might be the one for that. Let me see if I can get a hold of that. But they didn't have a central switchboard where they could switch you across and all that stuff. And that might be something to look into, because we literally had water coming up, bubbling out of the street on Santa Clara for over a day. And it took me an hour and a half to find the right people to talk to, and it was DOT.
Really?
Yeah, you know, because it wasn't coming out of a manhole, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we not have central dispatch?
We do, but they need retraining, and I talked to someone about that.
I thought.
But I mean,
Well, I talked to, everyone I talked to said, well, no, we don't. And I
That's
couldn't
one of
find
my
anything on the
biggest issues.
phone numbers or
I mean, you
anything.
can always start with our
3500.
office and we'll help
5353.
navigate that whole
Yeah.
portion for you then.
Well, this
report
is
back
actually
to
on a
you.
weekend,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Just that you're like obviously a 24-hour type number. So
311 should be.
well, 311's non-emergency. They could help, but
it's-
they're more looking
They
for.
say police.
Yeah, they're more
It does
looking
say,
for
this is a
actual
non-emergency
police
police
emergency.
line.
The one obviously countywide number that always works is 211, but that's a little bit broader. That's not like if you know it's an actual city issue, that's different, right? And so we do have after hours emergency lines.
Yeah,
and,
but I didn't consider it an emergency either, so I probably would have used it.
yeah, but that's I mean,
Yeah.
especially if it's after hours because there's just nobody here,
Right.
right? In general, so it actually has to fall under the emergency operations if it is after hours. And I know I have actually still at my house a magnet that has some of those lines. Now, granted, some of that might be outdated. I don't know how old my magnet is, to be honest. But I'll tell you what I can do
I
before
had
the
one.
next.
I had one in my
You had
book,
one
and
too,
I
yeah,
hid
right.
it, and it said this lumber is no longer in
Yeah,
service.
I could be the same boat as you.
Good.
So I'll tell you what we will do before the next CLC. We can actually confirm for certain, sort of, what are
Yeah.
some of the best in regards to numbers, and if we do indeed not have that in it, is it 211 and get that. So because my understanding is there still is, unfortunately, right. Like I haven't been in a position of needing to utilize that number in quite some time. So I'm probably not the best, right, sounding board. So that's what we'll do. We'll go and find that out to make
Yeah.
sure.
So on the city website for DOT, there is an option that says, please call our 24-hour emergency dispatch center to report sewer backups, storm flooding, missing, damaged traffic signs, potholes,
That's the number I
malfunctioning
ended
traffic
up
signals.
That's what you ended up. But I think what you were talking about is like sort of a catch-all
Is there a
number.
number?
So there is a phone number, there's two.
I would not have thought to look up DOT.
Yeah, got it.
One
Yeah.
of them is 408-794-1900, and that is for weekdays between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. The second number, looks like a police department number, 408-277-8956, and then that one reads for all other times, including weekends and holidays.
Yeah. And that may just be the case. There actually may not be a catch-all number, and it may just be. And in fact, we actually probably could see if there, because I imagine there are some updated
Yeah.
either number lists.
And that's
where
why
we
I
can-
brought it up. I
where we
figured
can-
it
where we
needed
can
to be
bring those out.
clarified.
I know I've even gotten some here at COC, like back in the here. So we'll help out with that.
Yeah. Okay.
If there were no other questions, just another plug again for our Great American Litter Pickup Day. I think those are sitting there in front of you. April 22nd. It just so happens, I believe there's also going to be in the works a march that day for the environmentalists, or environmental community, being that it is Earth Day. Similar to the Women's March that happened here down in front of City Hall. I don't know the full details. I don't think they're fully out yet, but that's what's being talked about. So it may be a great day to come out, pick up some litter, go and join in and show your support for our environment and, in and around downtown. So we have two locations. We always kind of rotate these around. And so this year we'll be at the Guadalupe River Park. And so quite large, but we're going to meet around the Conservancy, so near the Rotary Playground area, but to sort of spread up and down the whole park area. And then at McKinley, the McKinley Bonita neighborhood, so we'll meet at McKinley Elementary School, and head around there. And then my coffee hours, if you guys went out in the newsletter as well, but for anybody in the community that wants to come and chat, we will be at Cafe Do Canto on 33rd in Santa Clara this Saturday.
10:30 to 12:30.
33rd doesn't go to Santa Clara.
Allen Rock. Sorry.
Magdalena's dealing with something that may overflow onto you. There's a big stink on Allen Rock right now, and that VTA took away left turns and U-turns.
It's a mess.
A lot of them. It's really bad. One story was told by the owner of Adega about people driving in from Mountain View with reservations. They get off 101, they go down, and everything's small. It's hard to see things, and they miss the little driveway into his place. So they try to figure, I'll just go.
Go to King,
They go to King, because that's the first U-turn that
make
they
a
can get to.
U-turn.
They make a U-turn, they come down, and there's no U-turns all the way downtown, basically.
So they,
On Santa Clara, almost every street has no U-turn allowed. And so they go all the way back to Mountain View.
yeah, they
He
don't
loses the
stop.
customer.
They just go home.
Because they can't figure out how to do a safe U-turn to get back to them.
We did not know they were going to do that.
And-
That we were not told.
It was one of the circumstances they discovered in the field after they did all the
Yeah.
planning, and they had guaranteed the left turns and U-turns would be there. Didn't match up, and so they changed the rules without telling anyone.
It's a mess.
But
don't-
we're pushing DOT to
My
try to figure
understanding
out
for-
how to do U-turns on Santa Clara.
That'll be one problem to work out. My understanding, I don't think it will carry into downtown because Bus Rapid Transit is not expected to have the same kind of center lane
yes.
down. So,
Yeah.
so
Right.
No,
But I get what you mean. It's still
for
probably not
example,
there.
maybe 28th Street.
Yeah.
So that if they go across the bridge, they can turn around and go back. But right now,
No.
if they miss the right turn into that little narrow driveway, they go home. And Adega, of all restaurants, they're the first one in the city, and they're losing business because of this left turn thing.
In the apartment houses, they
Oh.
can't get into their apartments. There's 300.
There's a condominium complex, a gated complex with 300 people. They only have one major exit, and it's a right turn only
And they-
exit.
That's
And they go past, and they have to drive a half a mile down to Jackson to do a U-turn to
they're
come back to get into their
Yeah,
complex.
it's a
Yeah,
mess.
that does help.
Yeah,
horrible.
That sounds
so VTA got an earful. But you might hear about the left turns because, and U-turns on, I'm pushing for 28th Street, but I don't know if it's wide enough. That's the problem.